So hey there, my name is Brent Smith and I am the Common Constitutionalist, and this is my Common Constitutionalist weekend video podcast. If you're expecting a Christmas edition, expect again, think again, because we ain't talking about Christmas. It's not quite Christmas, a couple days, but we're getting there. I'm feeling the Christmas cheer, but these topics aren't that cheery. So today we're going to be discussing three topics I think we're going to be hitting on. Syria, that's always a fun one. Border funding, the shutdown and the border wall. Funding for the border wall. The need for the border wall and what Trump should do. That's what we're going to be discussing today on the non-Christmas edition Common Constitutionalist video podcast. Yeah.
You're watching the Common Constitutionalist Weekend Video Podcast. Ho, ho, ho.
Welcome back. Again, my name is Brent Smith. I'm the Common Constitutionalist, and this is my Common Constitutionalist Weekend Video Podcast. There you go. Got that out of the way. So, holy crap. Do you feel it? I'm shaking. I'm literally shaking, just from the thought of it. I'm not sure I can find the words. I'll try and choke back the tears as best I can. Yep, as of 12 midnight yesterday, the government shut down. Holy crap. I'll give you all a moment to collect yourselves, collectively. So, now some might heartlessly ask, it's Saturday. Doesn't the government shut down anyway every Saturday and Sunday for the weekend? Doesn't it shut down every weekend? Well, that's true, but this is different. Normally, most government departments and agencies, they just close for the weekend. See, now this time, they're not just closed, but they're shut down. Still shaking, see? See the difference? No? Well, neither do any of us in normal land, all right? There's no difference from the government being closed and shut down. In fact, they shut down every weekend. In fact, they shut down every holiday. And if you don't know the difference between a closed, because the government being closed and the government being shut down, you're just not that bright, evidently. But that's not your fault, see? Because Democrat Senator, if you recall, Democrat Senator Mazie Hirono, I think from Hawaii, said that the Dems sometimes, I've repeated this umpteen times, every conservative columnist, writer, podcaster, blogger, everybody has repeated Mazie Hirono's infamous words, and it still cracks me up every time I read them and every time I quote them. She said that Dems have a hard time expressing their ideas because they're just so darn smart, and they can't relate to the average American idiot. That'd be you and me, all right? So if you don't understand the difference between a closing and a shutdown, that's you. You're an idiot, and the Democrats are just too smart for you, so you can't understand. Remember, she said, quote, but we have a really hard time doing that, relating to the peoples, the masses, the unwashed masses. And one of the reasons it was told to me at one of our retreats was that we Democrats know so much. That is true. I don't know what the hell they know, but they know so much, apparently. And we kind of have to tell everyone how smart we are, and so we have a tendency to be very left-brained. Well, or no brain. How's that? It's just incredible. If you're a not-so-smart person, like Mazie or the Democrats at the retreat, you'd think, and you might say aloud, isn't Christmas this Tuesday? Most departments and agencies, right? They won't be working Monday. Most of them won't even be working Monday. They won't show their faces Monday, even without the shutdown. They wouldn't show their faces Monday, and none of the departments or agencies would be open on Tuesday because it's Christmas, right? Which means the government will be closed / shut down from Saturday to Wednesday. That's a shutdown. As a matter of fact, that's a longer shutdown than most of the government shutdowns throughout history. If you look back, a lot of these things were just 1 day, 2 days, 4 days. I think Clinton had one 21 days. Obama, it was like 16 days. I don't know, like that. But you know, the world didn't end. The world didn't cease to exist because of that. But again, if you're not Mazie Hirono and you're not one of these Democrats that are just so smart that they just can't deal with us people, you're just not getting it, okay? This is a shutdown, people. As of 12 midnight Saturday, Saturday morning, the government shut down. And if you were smart like Mazie, you would understand that they didn't just close, they shut down, and that is completely different, okay? But if you're some stupid hayseed from flyover country like most of us are, you'd agree with Trump to shut down the government and keep it shut down for as long as it takes to get the wall. All right? Not Mazie, but Trump. And frankly, if you think about it, most of these government shutdowns, if they weren't announced, would you ever actually even know the government was shut down? No, you wouldn't. Unless the press made a big deal about it, or somebody made a big deal about it in government, some politicians or whatever, you'd never know the government was shut, the federal government was shut down. Because most of the things you need to do, get a license, things like that, you do locally or in the state, which isn't shut down. It's just the federal government. So you'd never even know it unless somebody told you that the government was shut down. Because the fact is that most of us don't rely day to day, week to week, month to month on the federal government. It just doesn't. And frankly, you know what? 78%, I think, of the government still runs during a shutdown. So that's barely even a slowdown. Not even a third of the government. It's less than a third of the government actually shuts down for a while. And then when they come back, they get all their back pay and all their bennies and nothing changes. So a government shuts down for 4 days, these people get a 4-day vacation. Now, if it's over Christmas vacation, everybody's on vacation anyway. So frankly, if I was a government worker and the government shut down while I was already on vacation, I'd feel a little ripped off. You know, just think about it. So that's all I've got. I could go on for hours if I was Mazie Hirono, but I'm just not that bright. So we're going to take a break. We'll be right back, and we'll talk a little Syria. That's a fun topic. Be right back.
You're watching the Common Constitutionalist video podcast.
Okay, welcome back. Again, Brent Smith. This Common Constitutionalist. Oh, God. A little wampum action going there. A little Elizabeth Warren action. Although, I think she's distancing herself from the whole engine thing. Just saying. Let's talk some Syria, shall we? That's a nice Christmassy topic. The whole world's talking about Syria. The whole world's melting down about Trump's decision to pull our troops out of Syria and our troops out of Afghanistan. Now, right off of the bat, I agreed with pull them out of Afghanistan. Afghanistan is a hole. It's a black hole. It's where superpowers go to die. That's what it is. It's a humongous country. The terrain is awful. There's nothing good about the country except if you're a heroin addict or something. The poppy fields are fabulous, especially this time of the year. Especially. Yeah, okay then. There you go. Maybe I had a little nog beforehand. Ha! Just saying. So, we're never going to prevail in Afghanistan. It's that simple. No one will ever prevail in Afghanistan. If the Soviet Union couldn't do it, and the United States couldn't do it, who's going to do it? Nobody. Nobody has any interest in doing it. So let's get the crap out of Afghanistan. How about we don't get any more of our brave men and women killed, maimed, mutilated, or otherwise, and let's just get them the hell out of Afghanistan and never look back. Period. Whatever goes on in Afghanistan is going to go on in Afghanistan, whether we have a presence there or not. It doesn't matter. All right? That's the way it is. You don't have to like it, but those are the facts, folks. There you go. So that's Afghanistan. So at first blush, I didn't agree with Trump's Syria pullout. I didn't agree how he did it, and I still don't agree how he did it. He didn't talk to Mattis, apparently. He didn't talk to any of his military advisors, anybody. He just came on and said, you know what, we're getting out of Syria. Now, he's the commander-in-chief, so he's able to do that. I mean, it's his prerogative to pull troops out. He is the commander-in-chief. That's the way it goes. Goes with the territory. Good, the bad, and the ugly. But the way he did it was kind of crappy. Sorry to all you Trumpsters. You got to admit that it was not the brightest idea just to announce, hey, by the way, we're pulling out of, hey, you win a new car and we're pulling out of Syria. No, that's not the way. Syria, because of its strategic value to the world, to the free world, to us and whatever, its supposed strategic value, its perceived strategic value, everybody's up in arms about pulling out of Syria. Bad idea. Oh my gosh, the world's going to end once again. No, it's not. Like I said, at first blush, I didn't agree. And now that I'm start thinking about it, mulling this over, I do agree with Trump. I didn't agree with the way he did it, but I want to see our troops, the boots on the ground, I want to see out of Syria. They're doing no good over there. As far as the troops are concerned, specifically, they're probably doing a lot of good. But for the overall mission, of which there isn't one, there isn't a mission over in Syria, other than stop the bad guys. Well, that's no mission. Sorry, folks. I don't mean to pour water on the heroes that have been over there and have died or been maimed or mutilated or wounded of any kind. I'm not making light of them, and I'm not downplaying their service over there, because anytime that you're ordered into a situation like that, you do your level best to carry it out to the best of your ability and beyond. That's not the point. The point is we should no longer be in Syria. It's pointless and it's fruitless. But I understand why people are up in arms. Syria is smack dab in the middle of the Middle East. All right? Bordering it to the south and to the east is Jordan, Israel, Lebanon. And then to the north is Turkey, gobble, and west is Iraq. So it's right smack dab in the middle of everything. I know what our concerns are over in Syria. They're Iran with Russia's assistance. We don't want Iran to take over the entire Middle East. But the fact is that the Assad family's been in charge of Syria for how long? If Iran wanted to do something by now, they would have done it. And Assad, what's the difference? I mean, he's just a puppet anyway. He's an Iranian puppet and by default, a Russian puppet. That's just the way it is. But this just like Afghanistan, Syria will end up just being an endless foreign entanglement and an endless entanglement with Russia and Iran. And it's not what we want. There's no winning over there, just like there's no winning in Afghanistan. There's certainly no winning in Afghanistan at all. There's not even going to be a stalemate in Afghanistan. There's just nothing there, all right? There's no reason to be there. All we can hope for in Syria is what we got now, an endless stalemate. That's all we have. So you pull the boots like Trump is doing. I didn't like the way he announced it, but he's right in doing so. Pull the boots off Pull out the boots on the ground, all of them. immediately. Just pull them all out. There aren't that many there anyway. And if we think we have to, we can maintain an air presence in the region. Our air power could easily deter or prevent a wholesale takeover of the country if we wanted to by Iran and Russia. We're that, you know, we are the superpower, okay? We could fly sorties out of Israel. We could fly sorties out of probably Jordan. They'd let us, and we could probably fly sorties out of Turkey. Now, Turkey's squirrely. They're part of NATO, but they're not a NATO country. They're not a European country. They're not an anything country. They're an Islamic country. Erdogan, can't remember how to pronounce his name. He's seen to that. He's a brutal dictator, and he's an Islamist. If he's not an Islamist himself, he's an Islamist sympathizer. That's why he gets along with these people in the region so well. So you pull out the boots on the ground, and you tell Israel, Jordan, and Turkey that you're going to be flying sorties out of their country. Jordan and Israel will more than likely go along with it. Turkey, if they get squirrely, you just basically say, look, here's the deal. If you don't allow us to fly sorties into Syria to do whatever we feel necessary to do, we're going to boot you out of NATO, and we're going to declare you an enemy of the United States. Do you really think that's the healthiest thing for you? They'll come around. So we fly sorties out of those countries, and we can keep a lid on Syria for whatever reason. But again, it's still just going to be a stalemate. That's all it's ever going to be. We're not going to win anything. I remember what George W. Bush's plan originally was after 9/11. It may not have originally been his plan, but it soon morphed into the plan that he wanted to cut the head off of the snake, Iran. He wanted an uprising in Iran to kick the Islamist radicals that run the country now out of Iran, and so allow it to be democratized. Yay! The neocons are big on democratization of the entire world. Iran was sandwiched between Afghanistan and Iraq. You do the math. In order to cut the snake off of the head, Iran, we wanted to go in and free Afghanistan and make them love us. Free Iraq and make them love us. And then because they loved us, they would turn into these wonderful Jeffersonian republics or democracies or whatever. And then the Iranian people will see how magnificent it is to be a democracy, and they would rise up and overthrow the Iranian mullahs. That's the way it was supposed. That's the neocon vision of this whole thing. And it works every time you try to democratize one of these countries, and it's been done several times, and it's worked exactly 0 times. And it will work exactly 0 times. Now, don't get me wrong. George W. Bush, just like his dad, is a genuinely good guy. But his political views and his views on foreign policy aren't exactly what the founders envisioned, all right? In his farewell address, for example, George Washington spoke at length about foreign policy, and the money quote, as it were, quote, "It is our policy to steer clear of permanent alliance with any portion of the foreign world," unquote. Don't get entangled in foreign matters. That's what he meant. Echoed this, or parroted this, by Jefferson in his inaugural address, quote, "Peace, commerce, and honest friendship with all nations, entangling alliances with none," unquote. That's it. And frankly, in fact, from 1789 until the Second World War, we were in exactly 0 alliance treaties with all the countries in the world. None. We had no treaties, we had no alliances, we had no entanglements with any nation, lasting entanglements at all, with the exception maybe of Panama, and that was just because of the Panama Canal. So that was the exception to the rule, the one exception to the rule. After World War II, basically, the world kind of split into communism and non-communism. The communists would align with China and Russia and whatnot, and the non-communists would align with us and Europe. That's the way it worked. And it's been that way ever since. But the problem with the neocon foreign policy, Bush's foreign policy, is they do think they can democratize anyone. You go in there, you show them how kind and gentle you are, and they're going to turn to you and say, "What have we been? What have we been doing all our lives? We've been waiting for democracy. We've been waiting for Jeffersonian republicanism. Yay for you! Where have you been all our lives?" That's not going to work because they have no foundation for democracy or republicanism. Little r, republicanism. You need that foundation. You need the founding fathers in order to do that. Without those guys guiding the country toward a goal, without freedom first, you can't have that. Sure, we were a British colony, but we were effectively free from the constant thumb of Britain. It got to be so bad that we had a revolution, but for a long time they just it was kind of live and let live with some interference. Not like these brutal dictators in Islamist countries. That's not the way it works. So they've got no foundation for democracy, so they can't be democratized like the Bushes and the Karl Roves and all these other neocons think they can. So the bottom line here is politicians. There's an old saying that we can't, political pundits say this, that we can't be the world's police force. Okay, we can't protect everybody, we can't save everybody, and we can't be the world's police. And then we turn around and be the world's police. We're everywhere, and we're in every entanglement almost imaginable, or we're planning on getting at, or we're trying to extract ourselves, or we're getting into it, or something like that. Get our people out of Syria. If we need a footprint there, make it an air power footprint, not a boots on the ground footprint. Trump was right. All you other Nimrods are wrong. What's going to happen in Syria is going to happen regardless. Whether we send 2,000 or 3,000 troops over there to get killed, or to help the Syrian Kurds, which aren't the same as the Iraqi Kurds. The Syrian Kurds are not good people, they're commies. The Iraqi Kurds are fabulous people, they're not the same Kurds. Don't be mixed up with that. So when they say, well, what about the Kurds? What about the damn Kurds? Don't worry about the Kurds, all right? We're going to take a break, be right back.
You're watching the Common Constitutionalist video podcast.
Yeah, baby!
Okay, we're on to our final topic, and welcome back. My name is Brent Smith. I'm the Common Constitutionalist. This is the Common Constitutionalist weekend non-Christmassy podcast. There you go. It's really windy outside, so I didn't want to do it outside. So I just set up a flag. Unfortunately, I just should have ironed it or steamed it or something. Whatever. It's fine. It's Old Glory. We're good. So before first segment, I talked about the government shutdown, and the reason why we have the government shutdown right now, whoop-de-doo, no one even notices it because of the weekend, and we're heading into Christmas, and so no one's going to notice then either. The reason why is that Trump finally is coming around and making a stand and says, basically, if I don't get the House passed $5.7 billion in border wall funding, not border security, which is political code for no security at all. Some chicken wire or something like that on the ground, or a do not enter sign. I don't know. Go back, please. Don't come in. That's what this is all about. That's what the government shutdown's all about. And I don't think Trump is handling this properly. I think he should take a page from Reagan and handle it. What would Reagan do? This was what would Reagan do. Everybody knows that the president has the greatest bully and hopefully he can speak better than I can. Sheesh. Everyone knows that the president's bully pulpit is the most powerful tool in his arsenal and the most powerful tool in the world. When the president speaks on national TV in prime time, the whole world watches, not just the country. All right? So, stop your tweeting, Mr. President. Stop the inane, ridiculous tweeting. Just stop it. Take a page from Reagan. Put your cell phone down. Put your smartphone down. Stop the tweeting. You can pick up the tweeting later, but for now, knock it off. Set up a string of national, not press conferences, national meetings. I don't care if they're fireside chats or like Reagan, just go to the podium. You're taking no questions. You're going to speak to the camera. You're speaking to the American people. You're not speaking to a bunch of wingnut reporters down below. You're speaking right to the American people, which is where you want to take this. Speak directly to the American people and stop the sophomoric, juvenile tweeting. The reason why you do this is because it prevents the media filter. There's nothing, because it's a live broadcast. It's going out to the world, the country for sure, and the world. It is a live broadcast, so it can't be filtered. It can't be commented on until after it's over. Unless they decide to jip, to jip in and then get out or something, which they wouldn't do. This is a live broadcast which gives you as much time as you need to get your point across. It allows you to get your point across precisely without the media filter. That's what it allows you to do. There's going to be no Jim Acosta sitting in the front row going, ooh, 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 Mr. President, and then ask you some sort of gotcha question, and you know as well as anyone, or better, that all they want to do is that they're hell-bent on making you look like a fool, or making you say something stupid, or something you may regret later, getting angry, whatever. You stand up there at the podium, stare into the camera, and speak your heart to the American people, and explain to them why this border wall is so damned important, why it has to be built, why we cannot wait any longer. We've waited for decades and decades and decades, and it's high time that we stop the waiting and start the building. And I don't mean fencing. I don't mean this bullard fencing. I don't mean these slat fencing. I'm talking concrete, beautiful concrete wall, the way you campaigned on. That's what we need. And Israel proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that the concrete structures work. They took, I think it was the border between Egypt and them, used to be thousands and thousands of people running across the border into Israel. You know how many they've got now that they've got the big, beautiful concrete wall? Zero. None. None. Okay? I think at one point they got it down to like 11, and now there's none. Now that the wall's finished, not a single person has been able to get from Egypt into Israel. Walls work. Ask rich people that have walled off estates. Why do you have the walls? Oh, to keep us in. No, I don't think so. Now, this strategy that you're using about shutting down the government and taking a hard line, we all love that. Trust me, we do love it. It's in the 11th hour, better late than never, but it is a little late. You should have started this a while ago. This veto pen stuff, not the shutdown necessarily, but vetoing. You should have vetoed the crime bill. You should have vetoed the farm bill. You should have vetoed every bill in the past year and a half until you get your border wall funding in full. You need $25 billion, you ask for $25 billion. If you have to take, I don't know, $6 billion a quarter, whatever, that's what you do. Fine and dandy. But you tell everybody you're going to veto every single piece of legislation, and that's the way it goes. If Trump did this, and he stuck to his guns, what support left him would come flooding back like a tsunami. And as a matter of fact, when the people see, if he sticks to his guns, and he keeps reasonable about it, and he goes on national television, and he convinces people this is why the border wall is so important. Why am I pointing so much? I don't know. Because I'm agitated about this. He'll get more support than he's ever had in his life. His support will spike. Even for people who don't necessarily agree with him on other things, they will come to agree with him on this. Stay reasonable, stay rational, stop your sophomoric tweeting, get on your national television, get on national television, use that bully pulpit, stop the filtered media, the media filter, cut it out completely, cut them off at the knees, and do what needs to be done as president, and you'll get your border wall funding. The Democrats will cave they will cave. I guarantee it. Just hold out for as long as you need to hold out, and there you go, and you'll have your funding. That's it. I am the Common Constitutionalist. I'm Brent Smith. This is the Common Constitutionalist Weekend Non-Christmas Video Podcast. And I want to wish everybody a blessed Christmas. I certainly hope to have one with me and my family. This is a time, if you haven't given yet, give. Go out and give. Do something charitable. Give to somebody. Help somebody out. I don't care what you do, just give. It feels really good. You get more out of it than the recipient. I guarantee you. We did a lot more than we usually do this year. Gave away turkeys, gift baskets, all sorts of stuff to veterans families, deployed veterans families. It's fabulous, and it feels so good to give. And that's about all I've got. So Merry Christmas to you. God bless. Have a Merry Christmas, and we'll talk to you before the New Year.